amazing people. On today's episode, we are going to be looking at the Oraimo FreePods 2 Mobile Edition, a short review to see what it's all about and if it's a good buy, you should be getting it or not. Don't forget to like our video, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram, share our different links with your contacts, and please drop a comment. We'd love to hear from you. This is the DFC channel. I'm your host, A to the Y to the O. Let's get things started. Okay, so starting up with the size, the FreePods 2 Black Edition is very portable. It's very small, very petite, charges with a micro USB port, not a USB-C, and it's easy to really flip open, and you have that snapping sound when it closes, which is very satisfying. The pods themselves are very small and portable and very lightweight, so it can stay in your ears for a very long time and you definitely would not even notice. So that's that about the size, and it's actually very lightweight as well and very portable. So shiny, made out of shiny black plastic, so it tends to show fingerprints quite easily, especially under the reflective stuff, under the light, because of the reflective surface. So a matte black would have been better off to hide the smudges and all of that. And then it has these three indicators right here that show the power of the case when you return it back into here. I don't know if that is very visible. So moving on straight to connectivity, we covered this in the previous video, and now we're just going to talk about the connectivity a bit. It connects very seamlessly. We've unpaired it, so we can do that from the beginning again, how it's going to connect and all of that. So, well, we are just going to look for, we have our Bluetooth settings. Bluetooth is turned on, and we're going to bring out these, and then we're going to search for a new device, and then let's see, there it is. We click on that, it pairs, and we click on pair, and voila, it's paired, and it shows us the percentage of the battery. Okay people, so concerning the comfortable fit of the device, they fit in perfectly into our ears, and we don't seem to have any issues. Even when you're working out, you're skipping, and you're doing anything else, it tends to stay in pretty well, and it's sweat proof. So even when you're working out, you don't have to worry about sweat getting into it and spoiling it. Don't take a shower with it, that's a no-no. And moving on to the charging, the amount of power these can hold, well, apparently Oraimo claims that each of these can hold about 3.5 hours continuous music playback and all of that. But in our test, we ended up between roughly 2 hours and 2 hours 30 minutes thereabout, from listening to music, watching videos on mid-level volume, not even high volume, like level 6 of the device's volume. That's where we usually tested it, not going above that, and we got around that hours, between 2 and 2 hours 30 minutes. However, the case on the other hand can charge the device up to 6 times, and yeah, we can confirm that because we took about 2 weeks before we had to charge this. So every time we had to put it back in to charge it and all of that, we don't have to charge this usually very regularly. About 5 to 10 days, between 5 or 10 days before you have to charge this again to get this to get powered. So I guess this makes up for the not so long hours that this can hold. But I guess 2 hours, 2 hours 30 minutes is pretty good enough. Maybe when you're commuting or you're exercising or you're watching a movie, I guess it'll pretty much hold up for all of that. Yeah. Oh, and these charge pretty quickly. Although we're using a fast charger, like we have a 15 watts and an 18 watts fast charger, so it charged it up pretty well. In like less than 30 minutes, it was fully charged already and ready to go again with the device and all that. And the pods themselves tend to charge pretty quickly when you put them into the case, and you leave them there for about 10-15 minutes, and by the time you bring them out, you're good to go again for another hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours thereabouts. So it makes pretty sense. It makes good enough sense, I guess, if you're going to be using it that way. Okay, so another thing we need to talk about is the touch controls. If you pay attention, there's a circular ring on each of them. It's not just for show. Those circular parts, the rings there, are actually touch sensitive and can actually help you pick calls, skip music, increase the volume. So we tested them, and they're a bit finicky, so you have to take that with a pinch of salt if you're going to be using them. You double tap to pick a call, you single tap to end the call, you if you're listening to music, you double tap to play, you tap and hold for about 1.5 seconds to skip forward with the right ear, hold for 1.5 seconds on the left ear to go back to the previous track, triple tap on the right ear to increase the volume, triple tap on the left ear to reduce the volume by just one level. So all that tapping and touching and all that can get pretty finicky, and then before you know, you're just tapping randomly. And if you hold each of the FreePods for a bit longer, it tends to turn them off, and each one can be turned off individually, so they can operate. Each one can operate on its own. Yeah, I guess that works pretty well too. So if you hold it for too long, it tends to go off, and then you keep the other one listening, but that cannot be too convenient, and you have to skip tracks and all of that. But that happens. I mean, this is a weird thing that happens when you tend to disconnect either of the two, and you're trying to turn it back on and pair them and all that. It can just mess up the whole connectivity. Then you just have to return it back into the case, close it up, put it back into the case. The closing doesn't actually affect the charging or not. So just put it back into the case, bring it out again, and then they will reconnect automatically. So that is another easy way to solve whatever problem may come up with the connectivity. About the touch controls, yeah, they're a bit finicky. So it's something you will probably have to take some getting used to, and they're quite sensitive. So the slightest touch you might make when you're maybe receiving a call, and since there's a single tap that ends calls, the slightest touch will just end up ending the call, and then you have to call again. And then if you make that mistake again, maybe you're trying to fiddle with your ears or itch your ear or something, and you just mistakenly touch the touch sensitive area, it goes off, and then you have to do that, connect again, call again, and all of that. But it's something we can get used to. You can get used to by using it over and over again. Okay, you guys probably want to know how well these sound. We can tell you this for a fact: they're pretty loud. On the highest volume, you're going to destroy your eardrums because it gets really, really loud. We couldn't go past like a level 6 volume of our device. If our device has like a level 12, we couldn't go past a 6 or 5, then a 6 for songs that aren't too loud, that the volume isn't too up there, so maybe a 6. But besides that, if you go higher than that, you probably will going to give yourself some hearing problems, unless you have some hearing problems already whereby you don't really pick up low volumes. But if not, if you have very sensitive ears, between level 4, 5 and 6 is great for you, but it gets really loud. However, the bass is not really deep, so the music tends to come out a bit flat when you're dealing with, especially when you're listening to Afrobeat songs. The bass isn't all that deep. It's not so deep. So I don't know. We don't know how else to tell you that, but we can just tell you that it's not so deep. It's not like the Bedu is not so deep, like maybe a surround sound system or thereabouts. But it's okay, it's manageable. You're gonna pick up the beats, you're gonna pick up its sound. The quality is really sharp. You tend to hear the voice and the instruments and everything really clearly. It's not as deep as we expected it to be. So it's something to get used to as well. It's not bad, but could be better. Okay, so in conclusion, Do we recommend this for you to get if you're looking for a wireless AirPod? Well, for the range, it falls under between $30 to $50, depending on the exchange rate at that time in the country. So depending on what you're getting it for, we'll say for its price bracket, it's pretty good, because we've tested a number of others from like Xiaomi, Halo, or the rest, and we say this holds up pretty well. Yes, we do recommend it. Out of a 5-star, we'll give it a 3.5 for its category. Now remember, we're not comparing this to the likes of the Apple AirPods or the Sonys and all of that fall in the range of the $100, $200 and all that. For a category of $30 to $50, we say it pretty well holds up on its own. So yeah, our rating stands for like a 3.5. And why are we giving it 3.5? Is the bass. The bass could have been a bit more richer, a bit more deeper, to really give you that solid bedroom sound when you're relaxing, chilling, or whatever. That would be great. Another thing we do advise or suggest Oraimo to work on will be the microphones. The microphones, they don't really pick up your sound that well, especially when you're making calls. You're usually sounding very muffled, and like you have a piece of cloth on your mouth when you're speaking. That's how it usually sounds. So you just have to speak up a bit more to make the other person hear you during calls. If you're the kind of person who speaks really loudly when you're on the phone, great, this will work out just great for you. And one last thing, the packaging is absolutely wonderful and gorgeous. We covered that in the unboxing. However, we would have loved for Oraimo to include a form of case for this that could have a holder for a key ring or something like that. So it would have been helpful if Oraimo included one to protect it and keep it safe and make it last longer. On that note, we say thank you again. You've been a wonderful audience. Till our next video, stay tuned, and don't forget, at DFC, we are a business and we're into graphics and designing and printing, packaging, your branding, our channel, and tech devices and services, depending on whatever your needs are, whether for business or for personal use. We got you covered, baby. So just holler at us. And to the next video, take care of you, be safe, mask up, protect yourselves and your family. Okay? Peace.